Hola, and welcome to Oye Cinema Club. My name is Marina, aka Dignified Couch Potato. Tonight we are going to be discussing the 2010 film The Killer Inside of Me. I chose this movie to kind of keep the same theme as Steve, older thriller with a super random star-studded cast when they were young. But I'm not alone. Tonight with me, I have Steve Des, Jason Eccles, and Don Dino. Yeah, so I guess we can dive in on first impressions. I'm gonna go with Dino first.
Okay. First time watching this. Um, I will preface because first time watching this and all that. It's hard to watch. What's his face? Casey Affleck after the accusations and all that, and he had the settlement. And watching a movie with him in it, and especially the way this movie, his character, it's really hard to for me to at this point disconnect the person from the actor. So I was having that. That was throughout a lot of part of the movie was kind of going in the back of my mind. Just the way he was treating women. And if you look stuff up online of what he's been accused of or whatever, it's just a very weird way because I feel like I would have enjoyed this movie way more if it wasn't Casey Affleck or if I saw this when it first came out and news hadn't broke or he hadn't been soft me too'd because he's not fully me too'd. No one truly is at this point, right? People they keep working. So yeah. So the story, it's based on a book, I guess. That's what I read on the movie. It was really interesting. Again, didn't quite like the character. My issue is his voice is so like very soft and very kind of high, and in all the characters similar with Manchester by the Sea, and I just it doesn't do that much for me to begin with, and then plus all his baggage, but then yeah, it was surprising. I didn't know where it was going at the beginning, and then I just felt that it missed the mark. I felt the movie had way more potential. It just was very random how quickly because it was narrated and almost immediately I thought there'd be a little bit more of a evolution of his character before he spoiler kills. But no, it was like immediate, and there wasn't really a whole lot of backstory. And then you saw flashbacks with the brother, and that was the other thing. Not only is this guy like beating women and getting off on it, and then he also sees his um step bro, uh, molesting a girl, 5-year-old girl. I forgot what they said, and it's just bizarre that all that is wait that's left after the him killing someone. Um, wait, oh, I thought the stepbrother molested the girl, not that he molested the girl. Did I miss it completely?
Yeah, he molested the girl. The brother took it, and I only knew because the brother came into the car and he was like, "Lou, what are you doing?" And his name is
Oh,
Lou.
I thought it was the other way around. I thought, Lou, I got you. No? Oh wow. See, even more messed up. And it's not until the very end where he opens the Bible and there's the pictures of his mom and then the mom's spanking and I'm like, this movie, this I would not that empathy, but of like the hurt people scenario of like understand the character or see his struggles more. If we had the stuff of the mom earlier, if we had the stuff with, whatever that led him to that, or clearly the dad, right? Because the mom, then we learn the mom's like, no, dad did this. Do you want to do this? And it's like you waited towards the end of the movie to show me that. There's no way I feel any sort of kind of remorse or bad or empathy at this point of just this hurt man, this person that's been completely just, messed up from the beginning. Because the way that it's narrated from the beginning, he's clearly a psychopath in thinking that he's fine and that it just kind of happened, which might have been the point. And then Ed ending, this the guy who's the mentalist, clearly not so much of a mentalist in this one, even though he was very smart and knew it from the beginning. The amount of gasoline he poured all over that freaking house and all the booze, and they came in and they didn't smell it. And then what started the fire? The shots. I was like, okay, this movie just lost me. I thought maybe the only way I would have been okay, kind of like putting this, like I got Havoc, and this is like get in there. The more I'm already, I told you guys I was already irritated about the whole septic tank thing. I'm even more irritated just talking about this movie in that the way that it ended was bullshit, and it, I don't know. He didn't get his comeuppance, and then the girl, what is it? No, not Milano. Jessica Alba is like, oh, I didn't tell them. I love you hurting me. Oh, and gets killed, and it's like, oh, they're together again and they're happy. Messed up movie. This movie is messed up, crazy. I don't even know why we're talking about this. Propaganda for horrible people out there. Uh,
I feel like Dino
Marina,
went into his second impressions. Let's get
and we can end credits here.
I'm
What are you got
cracking
for us next week?
I'm cracking up because I had no idea he had even gone through that. I would have been even more pissed at this movie, but we'll dive into my first impressions later. Steve, what were your first impressions?
Alrighty, first impressions. Let's start in a lighter note first, since Dino went in. Shout out to the ADR team of this movie. Shout out to them. Uh, because man, I've been watching since I'm a kid, professional wrestling, I watch many different films. I'm not really big into like horror. I watch some thriller, not this type necessarily. But man, was I disturbed. Like I had a very rough time like watching this film. Primarily I don't like when I see men beating women. Like it triggers traumatic things, I guess. But especially like how this was. Like this was very graphic. And like it was hard for me to connect with the film because I was like, who the F am I rooting for here? Like I'm like this dude is like a psycho. I don't feel amazing. Now we're learning about the whole thing of his allegations, the actor, whatever. Like it's just messed up in many ways. Um and Yeah, this definitely you took this train from 1114. This is like completely like you took left turn and didn't make a U. Um no idea how you jump from that to this, but like um but yeah, man, it was tough, man. It was tough to watch this film for me personally. Um and I was just like, I even though like Dino jumped into second thoughts and stuff like that. I'll since he opened that door, I'll jump a little bit on it. I was the same way. I was just like, what the fuck is this ending? I'm sorry for cursing, but like I was just like, what is this? Like what is in the whole movie didn't have necessarily CGI and stuff, and like what is this moment?
Thank you.
Like yeah, I was just like legit. I won't say this movie is because cinematic value this movie has. Again,
Yes.
shout out to the ADR team. They did great. Uh, but I wouldn't say this as bad as Havoc, but it is a movie that like is one of those movies that you watch and then you go like, why the f did I watch this for? Like, I didn't get anything out of this besides just watching a Psycho and then an ending that they were just like, you know what, let's wrap it up. Let's just go with a big bang, throw the credits, let's go. Uh Anyways, I'm just gonna say that's my first impression. So, other
Okay,
people.
all right. I get it. I'm praying to God that Jason does his Jason thing, and it's always a nice guy. You're gonna get Jason's first impressions.
Don't try to make Jason be Lou. You're trying to be like Lou. You're so nice. Don't put Jason in that box.
Well, this is my first time seeing this movie. I didn't really know anything about it going in. I think maybe I had heard of it like by title or whatever, but so I just popped this thing on. I didn't know who was in it or anything. I didn't look it up. And so as soon as, excuse me, as soon as I saw Casey Affleck in it, it was just kind of like this non-audible groan because like I just
Yeah.
know, his character, you know what I mean? Not movie character, like his personal character. And it's like, man, this guy is like super problematic. And it's like, oh man, like I don't know if I can get behind this thing. Because it's just it's hard to suspend your disbelief when you know someone is, that. Uh and then as the movie goes on, like right away within like 15 or 20 minutes, I'm like, oh man, like this is probably perfect casting for him, which makes it like hard to watch. I share many of the same sentiments that Dino and Steve did, so I won't go too much into that stuff. I think they kind of said it all. Uh,
Thank you.
this movie is little. It's problematic in a lot of ways. Like I didn't like a lot of the direction. So a lot of it was kind of convoluted and confusing to me, probably from the script, on. And I don't know, if the director did much to try to like uh, salvage that. It's to salvage the screenplay. I don't really like Jessica Alba in this role because I just don't really buy her as this like sweet little prostitute on the edge of town. Like, I mean, not to say that she couldn't be. I just didn't really buy it. Uh, Everybody else is pretty good in it. I mean, Casey Affleck, like Dino says, does the whisper thing, where he talks softly. But I don't really have a problem with that. I'm like, if that's just how he talks, whatever. I get it though. I can understand how that would be maybe a little annoying if that's what you meant, Dino. But I think for me, there are some things that just kind of like the movie is not paced very well and is very herky jerky. And then there's like these moments, and he's a sociopath. And like Steve said, there's just it doesn't leave you a lot to root for. I mean, I guess like when Simon Baker's character shows up and starts putting pressure on the movie, you know what I mean? Like putting pressure on the character, like I'm going to discover you. Like I guess you root for Simon Baker because like okay, well this is the good guy. He wasn't like a fed, was he? He was like just another cop that they brought in, a detective. I don't know. But him coming in to sort of be the authority and figure out what happened, I was like, all right, I guess we root for this guy now, or we root for all the other people who can't seem to figure this guy out. But then he's the lead of the movie. It's centered around a sociopath. And so that's always like a difficult challenge. Not to say it's impossible, because we have rooted for sociopaths in movies before, like, American Psycho comes to mind right away, right? Not that we're rooting for him, but we're kind of invested in what Kristen Bale is doing in that. I'm not really invested in this guy. Like, I just don't like him. You're not supposed to like him, but I don't like him. And I feel like he thinks he's smarter than he really is, and he's in a town full of dummies. And um, yeah, I will say that some like the herky jerkiness I should bring up. It's like after he does all these cruel things and he beats Jessica Alba to death, he goes and he manipulates and sleeps with his girlfriend or whatever, and then like they play this soft piano music, like this love making music, movie music, and I'm like, what is going on right now? Like, what am I watching? Like, why is this happening? And it's like so I'm supposed to like buy that they're like in love, or is the director trying to like play us a little bit like, oh, this guy, he got away scot free, and then it's like, or is this what she's feeling? The Kate Hudson character, is this what she's feeling? Like, oh, I'm truly in love with this man, and like let's make love now to this soft love making piano music, and that kind of like blew me a little bit too, and kind of made me just sort of like, oh boy, like How much longer is this thing? Not that I thought it was like bad, I had to get away from it. It's just like it was just kind of cringe. Like it just didn't make my spirit feel right watching it. But that was my initial thoughts.
Thank you for nicely saying exactly what Dino said. All right. So we'll go into mine. I just want to tell you guys, I'm gonna dive in first and like more so why I picked it. Like I said, like I think when I watched Steve's movie, I was like, dang, like what other movies from this time period like have I missed? Like I had never heard of 1114. It was like right up my alley. So I think I typed in Google like hidden gem thrillers from the early 2000s or something like that. So I'm going through it, and at first the title seemed like super Lifetime movie-ish. You know what I mean? The Killer Inside Me. Like that sounds like it's on Lifetime, and we're like, you know what I mean? I didn't know what it was gonna be. But then I saw the cover and I see Jessica Alba and I saw the Casey guy who, let's write this down, never gave a fudge enough about him to ever hear about all this stuff. So it's absolutely crazy. It makes the movie 10 times weirder. But yeah, so I popped it in and I was like, oh my goodness, there's so many people in this movie. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's keep a theme. Like not knowing that it was gonna not be the same theme. My first time watching it, obviously first time hearing about it till I looked it up. It really threw me off. I remember, so I attempted to watch it like maybe even like last Tuesday or whatever. And it was just like, I was like, what is going on? I was like, I need to watch this on another night. I thought this was going to be something completely different. Like, it's just like, I think Dino mentioned, like, it immediately like dives into like some craziness. I was like, what is happening? So I rewatched it like in full, like maybe like 2 days ago. And 20 minutes in, I'm like, for the first time in Cinema Club, said what the fudge to my own pick. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, they're gonna go in. I am picking the sex pervert movie. What is happening? We got stars on butts. We got women getting beat. I was like, this is such a Dino pick. Like, what is happening? It was so embarrassing. I wanted to renege. This was tough. Like, it was crazy that I've been trying to find clarity since I started this. Like, I'm Googling, like, when was the writer's strike? Because I'm like, why did these people do this? I was like, Kate Hudson is a Nepo baby. Why is she playing this role? Like, what is going on? I feel like I stepped into like a different Spideyverse on accident. Like, what? Like, we got freaking sweet, honest company owner playing a prostitute. What's happening? I was so confused. I was so uncomfortable. Like it took everything into me to finish this, but yeah, that's it. I just like it was tough. Like I committed because I'm committed to the goal of Cinema Club, but it was hard. I was so many times I'm like, get this out of my face, because like it didn't even like, it would have been nice if it was crazy, but, like, at least had, like, a understandable plot. Like, I had to Google things for answers, like, even, like, to the point of, like, I think somebody mentioned, like, later on we find out that his mom did something to him. I had to look it up, and it actually wasn't his mom. It's his nanny. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just, like, it's so much going on. I don't feel like they did good enough at, like, giving answers. And yeah, the rooting for thing is crazy because, like, I will say I don't think I ever rooted for him, but it's very uncomfortable to not root for a main character that like takes up such a huge space in the screenplay. I personally would be curious to read the book and see if they just like fudged up
Yeah.
on turning it into a movie, because just there's some missing links to it. But yeah, neither here nor there, but like, dare I say, favorite character, guys? You guys what? You guys have a favorite character?
Um, well, I'll say that the Simon Baker character kind of gave me a little bit of relief because I'm like, finally, at least a good guy. You know what I mean? A guy who's trying to like find out the truth of this of these crimes. Like, so I guess he would have been my favorite character probably. I also didn't know Ned Beatty was in this thing, so it was nice seeing him. Sort of putzing around this movie.
I will. So I'll get to the favorite character bit, I guess, because it's kind of, I think, along the line um of Jason. But yeah, the book must be just amazing because this also, what I didn't say, feels like a very poor man's Killers of the Flower Moon, of just kind of this serial killer, basically killings, if you will, just unraveling, and then you have, whether it's the FBI or, yeah, I couldn't I think it was like a PI or someone that the dad brought in, right, to try and figure out. And I was almost certain when when they go to Fort Worth, it is Fort Worth, I think, and then they're like, she didn't make it, she didn't come out of the ether or whatever. I was like, nah, she did. I was like, that's the whole thing. Like, they're leading him on, because then he also, the mentalist bro, disappears, right? And I was like, you didn't just show me all that and make this whole big drama of taking him out there to then allow him to have this reassurance of it not being a issue or whatever. So yes, the mentalist guy just seemed like, I was like, I want to see his brain in action, right? Because we're seeing the lead, the psychopath, like, and then the times when I was like, okay, he's playing with oh, put those pictures, but don't do the projection so quickly the next night when he's in the loony bin. I'm like, give me more of that. Give me more of his struggles. Give me more of that. Like, oh man, and then Bill Pullman shows up, right? Like,
That
what?
was nice.
He's yelling down the hallway. He's my favorite character. What is he up to? Where does he go next? Who does he go to? Like, I'm this guy that I just go and I do things because and I'm gonna chew tobacco. This had like all the makings of so much great characters. Because I'm like, this is probably 5 pages in a book of explaining who this person is and why they act this way and why he's chewing tobacco, and all that. And they dumb it down to like a minute or less. And so yeah, I was gonna go with Mentalist Bro. Which, is that his real hair, guys? Have we ever found out if he's actually blonde or if he's just like really good at dyeing it?
What?
It'd be like that on those intrusive thoughts.
But I'll say it's Bill.
Cool. Steve, what about you?
My favorite characters were, I don't want to, sound uh too forward, but the ladies, you know what I'm saying? But before the stuff happened, you know what I'm saying? Because like they were like, yo, like I'm still hot even though you beat me up, you know what I'm saying? And like, shout out to the makeup people. Let's give it up for the makeup people. 'Cause
Real though. Seriously.
they
Great
made
makeup.
Jessica Alba look like the
Whew.
monster from the Goonies. You know what I'm saying? Like legit, like full forehead thing and everything.
Even when
Uh,
Yeah,
she came
it
out
was
and
terrific.
even when
No,
she came
yeah, it was great. And like the thing in her mouth, like I guess like it was supposed to be like her teeth maybe cut up. This all that looked fantastic. I'm like, this makeup is incredible.
The part of the movie, can that be the best character? Because it's the whole technical part of sets and costumes and makeup, everything unto the kaboom part of like what I thought was great. I was like, this has such a cool feel. This is this is trying to be a little bit like even the intro cards, right? Credits cards at the beginning. I was like, when I saw it's also produced by Wild Bunch, or it looks supposed to be, I'm like, oh, this has that really much, like really grimy, like that the Wild Bunch had, and even some of like the Sergio Leone movies had from, so like 60s, 70s, kind of like that, where they would take photos or film and do, the coloring on top of it. So the whole feel of it, texture that this film had throughout it, I was down with. And I'm like, oh, it's 2010. Like they aren't just doing what is it, The Wall or whatever, that Disney has, and like it's not all just like a CGI corner now and a this and that, and you're just walking through the whatever. I'm like, oh, it seemed like they dressed up the street, they have all these cars, they have like it just I was like, I like this. Like it's like 2010 was still rocking with like let's try to make practical period, like let's get these cars in and stuff like that. And then yeah, so I just went on that tangent. So I've had it.
Yeah, I mean the technical stuff. There a lot of. I mean, I buy the time period, like the clothes and the setting and the set decorations and all that. Yeah, like it took me to the 50s a little bit. I tell you who sort of pulls me out of the 50s though. Like the Simon Baker character does not feel like a guy from the 50s. Is it because of the curly hair
Well, you know what it is
or
though,
the
but it makes
style?
sense. Is because I mean, I was gonna say the hair just because he's oh so perpy, but he's from out of town, and I
Yep.
think that's why it doesn't pull me out because I'm just like, oh, he's here from the big city, and like
Yep.
when pervy dude is walking down Fort Worth, he's like the only one with a hat, like he's looking at the skyscraper, and everyone is in the city a bustling, and they're like the outfits are different than where he lives and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I could buy that. Like maybe he's from Dallas or a bigger city or something. Like I get it.
yeah,
It's just he doesn't feel like a 1950s person per se, and Jessica
I
Alba doesn't feel like a
no
1950s person. I would have been happier, and I don't mean this like in a derogatory way, but I would have like. I mean, if you're going to get like a Hispanic woman, a Latina woman to play this part, like I would have liked her to have like an accent, or like she was from Mexico or something. You know what I mean? Like,
because her
it,
name was what was her name? Is she Hispanic character?
I mean, she's Hispanic in real life, so she would have to be, right?
Jessica?
I know that her name in the movie was Joyce Lakeland. So I don't know if they were trying
Yeah.
to portray her as that. I feel like Jessica Alba, they typically portray her as white. Like
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen her have a Latina last name until that movie that she came out with last year where she goes back to her small town and like they burn her dad's business and she gets like revenge and finds out like who killed her dad. Like and that I think her last name was like Gonzalez finally, but like, honey,
Why didn't you pick that movie? Sounds dope. Also, the her house was huge. I'm like, wait, she's one. I thought she was working at it, like she had other girls or whatever. Like, also when he first shows up to her house, there's already a police car there, right, or another car. Because then she's like, I gotta wash up. I thought there was someone else already in there to
I
begin
think
with.
they met before then.
I don't know if they met, but she's a prostitute, so she's like, let me, wash up a little
She
bit before you come
Wait,
in.
Yeah.
I think he thought he was a customer.
no, they didn't meet because then when he like you have a permit, then she's like yeah coppa. So no, they hadn't met because she just assumed.
I think they were role playing. There's no way that he started beating her like that and then he said I'm sorry and she's like it's okay. Like that was
No,
I
no, no.
think that was part of their role play. Like that
No,
Dom
remember the guy sent him over there.
Yeah,
The
for the very first
later on.
time.
I think that's where it jumps into like it being jerky. I think what the first scene they had already met before. I think
No,
they had, like, there's no way. I think him finding the gun was a little off script, but I think they did that where he beat her up and they did it and that was his thing. Because when he was
what?
hitting her before he killed her, she's like, "Don't do that. I'm going out of town." Like, she knows that that's his thing. Like, I personally think that it was role play.
Watch it again, the whole movie,
I'm
because
good.
in the narration, it explains it's the first time. He even says it.
Yeah, I was under the impression it was the first time, and I also thought it was peculiar that she's hitting him when he leaves or whatever. I'm like, what are you
Yeah,
doing? Like, stop hitting this cop. Let him leave. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, what are you doing right now?
Mm.
That kind of confused me a little bit. I mean, it would make more sense if Marina's accurate in the fact that it's the role play, but
Oh, she's gonna ask her friend Hugo.
well, and it was kind of weird too because it's like she he starts like spanking her or whipping her or whatever he's doing, and it's like I'm like, why are you doing this? And like and then like she sort of stops fighting it and becomes like sexual, and then I was like, okay, so is this like that was all very confusing. Like I just didn't understand the relationship yet.
Yeah.
So here's what I understood. Okay, so at first, I was starting to watch the movie, but I was on a phone call at the same time. So the movie was playing on the background with no sound, and like I was seeing a lot of images.
Great way to start a movie, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
He's like,
And
"What could happen in the first 10? That's credits."
and then I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna have time to watch this whole movie by Cinema Club. But then I remember, oh no, Cinema Club is actually a little later. So from my time. So I said, okay, I'm gonna rewind this whole thing because if I just keep watching right now, I don't know what the heck's going on. So I went back, and when I watched the movie, I concur with Dino and what Jason speculated, which is this was their first time
Mm.
because he was sent there and stuff. And like when she just freaks out of like, oh, you really gonna rat me out? Like you gonna do me like that, bitch? And like she just starts slapping him and just going off because she's just having a rage attack of like, how can you come after my business? How can you come after my stuff? And like he lets out whatever aggression thing, whatever he has. That's why he starts spanking because or whipping her or whatever. Because I don't know, he had that, and then we find later about some chick that did the same thing of like, I like it when you go rough on me, and he was kind of letting that steam out, and then she got into it, and that's why he was like, oh, I kind of love you because you like when I get
Yeah,
aggressive and we have intercourse. But at first,
what
his
I was
mentality was
taught.
like,
Yeah,
I'm not messing with a prostitute. But then he was like, I like prostitutes.
He said he loved her.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
yeah,
know.
In the
Mm.
narration, in his own head, he said it. He
yeah,
said it to her, but he also said it in his own brain.
And
yeah. In the
after,
narration, he
after,
said that it all started that very first time that he went.
and
Like
after,
he.
And he said, "I kept going back every day." All right, I'll give it to you. I'll give
and
you this.
also
Merry
after,
Christmas.
here's another thing. Here's another thing.
I'm sorry to mansplain for
After
this
he kills
movie.
her, after he kills her, he's still saying, I love you.
Yeah.
He
I
is.
think
You're right.
so. Okay, first off, wait. All that being said, who did you say was your favorite character, Steve? You didn't say.
I said the chicks.
Oh yes, 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 yes. Okay, so mine, Dino, you stole it, and I thought I was in the clear, but I was definitely gonna say Billy Boy Walker because why was Bill Pullman in the movie for 72 seconds? Like I saw him in the credits, and I'm like, he is about to bring it. I forgot he was in the movie, and then he came, and I was like, who is yelling?
Oh
He
no,
came.
I didn't recognize him.
It was such a like an accidental comedic touch because I was
Yeah.
just like, what is going on here? I totally forgot he was going to be in it. And so, yeah, his in and out was so hilarious. But
Well, yeah, I thought he was. I was like, oh, this is gonna go somewhere interesting because we didn't see Buddy Boy again. Maybe I don't know. They were trying to reboot The Mentalist, so he's like, I can continue and they're like, "All right, let's bring in Bill," you know. And I thought he was gonna add a new layer, because then supposedly we're to assume that he told the whole story to him in the car, right?
Because I guess he was
That's
supposed to be his lawyer, right? So maybe it was the client confidentiality.
no, because I think at that point he already knew that they were coming for him.
Oh,
But
okay.
he just assumed incorrectly, I think, who was coming for him. He thought it was the union people. So he was like, kind of like, I already kind of know. So I think he just like, they're going to come for me. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell you what I know, type of thing.
Okay.
Right. That's that again. That's what I got from it. So it's like, why
Well,
give up
I
your
feel like
information?
only lawyers can get you out of being in
He
a
said
jail.
he wasn't even a lawyer. He said he was. He's not. No, he was in a loony bin.
But even that
They,
being said, like, why didn't anybody else get him out? Like, does he not have any other friends? It was just kind of
no.
weird that, like, it seemed like he was in the loony bin for criminal activity, and then some
Right.
guy comes in and gets him out. I don't know. I
Thinking way too much about this movie.
It does feel like, so you guys know this is like adapted from a novel, right? Like you guys
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does feel like in a novel because it's kind of leans like neo-noir a little bit, the
Yeah.
detective and the double crossing and everybody has another agenda. It does lean like it's going to be some grand novel. And maybe the novel is very good. It's just whatever happened between the novel and the screenplay, I just feel like they missed the marks that would have made this thing make sense. Or maybe just like on screen, maybe on screen it just can't really make sense. You know what I mean? Maybe because you know what they say about like when you write a script, like never do narration, never do like because like it's just lazy and it's like if you gotta like explain what's in the character's head in a screenplay and not be able to show it, then you're losing your audience. And some movies can do it pretty well. This is just not one of them. This is kind of like what you would teach in a screenwriting class of what not to do in a lot of instances, I think.
I also think too, like timing wise, this is a tough watch, and then like who it was
Sure.
casted for too, because like it's like I think like maybe I hate to say it because it's all a part of the problem. Like I feel like the women victims in this movie were too famous.
Mm,
Like
I
it's
agree.
it's like no one's beating Jessica Alba up. Like get out of here. Like Kate Hudson, what? Goldie Hawn's daughter, get out of here. So it was just
Right.
kind of like too star-studded, and that's why I was kind of diving in. So like I was like, okay, the writer's strike was like in 07 and 08. Maybe it kind of trickled in and everybody just needed some work. Like I was just genuinely confused on the casting. And then also too, like I feel like where we are in life now where it's like it's a lot more we're a lot more aware about like mistreating people and like these types of situations. Like maybe in 2010 this was probably like, oh, this is so interesting. Like we're getting into the mind of a man that like objectifies women. Like it might have been like groundbreaking in the moment, but now it's just like, ew, go get some therapy. You know what I mean? Like it's not very, we don't have a lot of empathy for it. And I
But
think
you know what was happening around this time? You got to remember, this is a couple years after like Breaking Bad was really big, and then all of a sudden, like everybody in Hollywood wanted to do like the anti-hero character, where it's like, let's follow the bad guy. Let's make the bad guy the hero and follow him instead. You know what I mean? Like this
yeah,
is around that time. So I think you're accurate there, Marina.
but they
Didn't
pushed
Dexter came out too during this time
oh
too?
maybe, yeah. But I
Yeah,
think
a
they
little
pushed
before
the
Dexter,
this, yeah.
Dexter before, but yeah, the same style.
they pushed the envelope too much though on this one because it was tough. Like I don't know if it was like intentional or not, but like the narration pissed me off the most. Like how it was just like so he would be like, oh yeah, I thought
Yeah,
about it because I love her, not killing her, but I had to stick to the plan. Like what?
I
Right.
I, I also want to jump into that. Like, it also pissed me off the narration because I was like, why are they making this guy Forrest Gump? Like to he's
I
out
know.
there killing all these people, framing people, and like they're trying to make him likable somehow
It
I don't
was so
know.
antagonizing. Like,
Okay, and here's the other thing. He's been a cop, so I can buy that he's a bad cop and he's abusing his power. But my thing is like he didn't just start this way. He's been bad probably his whole life. How did
Right.
he get this? I mean, and I'm not saying it's the 50s and a white guy being the sheriff of a small town, you can get away with a lot. Like let's, historically speaking. I just feel like he would have got caught doing something bad earlier, but he's like seems kind of like a respected member of the community.
But
I
he,
personally,
the whole narration. Sorry, the whole narration is that he hasn't been bad, and that's where the movie tricks you because then you find out that apparently, because I missed it, he's the one raping this girl from the
They
get
said you
go.
haven't done a bad thing in your whole life. Like everybody knew him as a good guy. And I'm like, how did
His
you live in a small
narration,
town and everyone saw
his
you?
his own narration said that. So from our point of view, that we hear his narration, we're supposed to believe that this is a Breaking Bad moment for him. But
Yeah.
it wasn't. It was a bait and switch because apparently he's been bad since teenager. Since I guess not his mother, but his babysitter was making him
Molested
beat
him,
her.
essentially.
Yeah,
so this is me. Obviously, I feel like I had to like dive in because this is, I was hosting tonight. But like, so I do not think he had done anything since he was a kid. I think when his stepbrother took the rap for him, he was probably like, I need to chill the fudge out. I could go to prison. So I think he had been holding it in for a while, marrying, like, dating the perfect girl who lives up the street. I think he had been harboring it in. But so I was a little confused at first because, like, that first encounter he has, and that guy is saying, like, how did your stepbrother die? I thought he was accusing him of killing his stepbrother because he was like, "Oh,
yep,
did you like him even after what he did?" Because the whole city thinks that his brother is the molester, like the kid that they adopted. And so, but this is what sparks it, and maybe it'll make a little bit more sense for you guys, even though he's still a freaking psychopath. Once that guy told him he felt that his brother was murdered, that started him wanting to get revenge for his brother. Even though it's like he was just like he went to prison for me, and I think that made him be good because his brother basically took the blame and gave him a fresh start. So I think he was like, oh, I gotta chill out, and I don't think he did anything from that moment on until things get heavy. But his whole plan was, because I think the dad, like the powerful guy and his son, they killed his brother because they thought he was a child molester. And so instead of being like, dang, I'm the reason my brother got killed, he's like, I gotta get them back. And so he got his son killed and basically ruined the rich guy's life. So I think there was a gap. It's just very psychopath, his revenge scheme. Like, let it go. It's like this weird thing where he's like, I gotta like do this for my bro. But it's like your bro is in this because of you. And I think like that blind non accountability is what pissed me off the most. Because he was just like, yeah, didn't want to hurt these guys. They're cool people. But gotta stick to the plan, gotta handle this business. And it's like, what? Like, just like leave these people alone. They killed him because they think he's you, a bad person that should have probably been dead. But like, yeah, but instead of being like, dang, I should turn myself in, he wants to kill the people that probably killed his brother.
You know what's crazy? With all that said, and Casey Affleck like being kind of closely linked to some of the stuff that this character, has done. Casey Affleck was just in like a movie a few months ago.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, it's crazy.
He
Well,
he's got he's
been in
he's
stuff
got
after
some
this.
other ones. Say what?
Has he been in multiple things after this?
Yes,
He
and
won an
and
Oscar after this.
Oh man.
he's in an Apple movie now coming out or just came out with Matt Damon. So
Yeah, I think they. I think Paul's in that. I think they shot that down in South America, if I'm not
He was in
mistaken.
Oppenheimer too.
Something like
Interesting.
that.
I never heard any of this, so I never thought of anything.
it was big. There was, I forget which actress, because remember they started doing where the Oscar, the female actress who won the next year would hand out the award to the
Right.
male actor.
Ooh.
And so whoever the female actress was handing the award out to, like, refused to shake his hand and stuff. Like,
Oh wow.
it was a thing, because that was one of those, as Manchester by the Sea started picking up, I think is when things broke. I can't remember. If Jason, we watched the movie knowing that already or not, because I do remember that we saw it together, if I'm not mistaken. That
I
was
didn't.
maybe our.
I didn't have. I remember when I seen it. I don't know if we watched it together. But I do remember. I didn't really have like negative feelings toward him in that movie.
No, I didn't either. The movie I just saw again was like,
Carey Mulligan, Cinema Club. One of the most lauded actors on Cinema Club.
Yep.
Oh, she was in that. Well, it's so funny. Like I literally like this is all like full circle because like last week, I think I watched She Said with Carey Mulligan as well, and it's the same kind of ish because technically, like once Dino started talking, I kind of looked it up. Like they settled out of court, so maybe that's why he hasn't necessarily been canceled, is because he never got like a guilty verdict
Yep.
or whatever. But She Said is about that, like about how it was so hard to bring like Harvey Weinstein down because a lot of his accusers signed NDAs. So when it came down to like trying to make an article about what was going on at Miramax or whatever company he was at, sorry Miramax if it wasn't you, but
No,
not
that's right.
sorry if it was.
No, that was it.
Okay, cool. Not sorry. They finding women that hadn't signed an NDA yet, or they were too famous that they couldn't even convince them to do it then. So I didn't even realize like Ashley Judd had like had a huge part of like bringing him out because she basically just walked away from it, and she wasn't like she was too famous for them to like trap her into being like, well, you'll never work anywhere if you don't sign this NDA. But she was
She
just
could have
like,
had a much bigger career.
yeah, she was impacted nonetheless, but she was still able to like get
Right.
away and like
Yeah.
not have to sign an NDA. So it's just so tough now seeing these settled out of courts. That doesn't mean a thing, but just like technically a person isn't guilty. So it's like,
Right.
so it's like, we don't know the whole story, but like it's just a weird, eerie feeling knowing over 40 NDAs were signed with Harvey Weinstein. Only 7 people went to court.
Wow.
Because those only 7 people either they were new cases and they never got a chance to sign an NDA, or they slipped through the cracks back in the day and never signed one. That's nuts. And he only got accused of 3. Like he only got guilty for 3. So yeah, it's all so weird.
Oh, real quick with the movie. I was reading also a little bit about the difference between the book and the movie, and one of the issues is, yeah, one of the murders is off screen, I guess, is what they're saying, and so that's the first
prison murder?
Huh?
The prison murders?
The hanging?
Or maybe it's the hanging, but so one of the, I guess, issues that people have is like they spend so much time on the women being like beat and killed. Well, I guess the first one not, but none, like the 2 guys that he actually also then kills, one isn't even seen, and it's not the same amount of time for the other. So it's just one of those kind of weird things. But crap.
Yeah, it does. It seems super like fetish.
He burns us. Is it just because the guy was a bum? Like, we didn't have any reason for that, right? Because then I'm like, you just said you were really nice and all that, and this is kind of your Breaking Bad moment. And then he's like putting out cigars into bums or winos' hands. Like, that happened early in the movie again. So I'm like, yeah, this guy's inner monologue is just complete bullshit from the get go. Like,
it would have been nice if they gave us a diagnosis, right? Like that would have been good because like I feel like he was having a mental breakdown, but like his again the narration just kind of ruined the movie because like he seemed very coherent in how
Yeah.
he was describing things in the narration. It's bothersome.
Yeah.
It'd be like,
Oh, it's gaslighting. It's
a
like
hundred
the
percent.
movie should just be called The Gaslighting in Me,
Like
right?
he's
Like,
gaslighting the audience, the listener.
Did anybody wonder for a moment? I still don't have full closure. Did anybody wonder if Kate Hudson was a little girl from back in the day? Because I felt like she might have even been a little weird too.
no,
I don't think it was her, but at one point I was just like, they grew up together. Where did this little girl go? And then like in that scene where she snaps on him and he like talks her down. She's like, "You did
yeah.
it. I know you did." I was
I
just like,
mean, I
where do
don't
we
want to get into the whole like I smell it on you thing of like after sex, like but it's kind of like, girl, you're down there. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Go,
I feel like she
go.
had like mental illness of some sort as well. Um,
Well, oh no, but in the letter, she loves him. Like, I like that moment, and even kind of almost, I enjoyed that of seeing the what if or the seeing kind of what she thought was going to happen of
mm,
her plan, right? Because we've seen him planning, conniving. We've seen what Alba, her kind of plan and scheme was, and we just heard it. We didn't necessarily see her think what was going to happen, but we saw her. I'm going to walk into the bathroom because I love this man, but I don't have it in me to tell him, right? I thought that was great. I thought that was such a cool way of like showing like of getting discovered, right? Like in a period piece of like normally it's like there was a video or there was a phone call or there was a recording, but this more is a little more subtle in the she knows something is up. She thinks she knows, but she can't confront you because she loves you too much. But she would hope that you would open up. Like that was I thought a great moment, right? That exploring things that way, uh, but didn't wasn't used to its fullest or wasn't used throughout the movie in other ways that we could have then allowed us to kind of be like, wait, did he do it? Did he not do it? Was it something, if we got a little bit of different instead of just having the narrator, right?
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, truth be told, this reminds me of like one of the first school plays I ever wrote where I had an idea.
Oh
And
my God.
I had a
Wait,
lot of
what part of this reminds you of the school play
the
that
whole
you
thing.
wrote?
The whole thing,
Can
just
we
like
read it?
not like the theme, but like in the sense of like I feel like there were so many like writers spurts that were great idea, but then they didn't connect to anything.
Mm.
Like there was a couple of moments where it's like where it's just like I see, like, I feel like they were like, "Oh yeah," and then they just I don't know if they just had a struggle. I would be very curious to know if there was just, like, riff in the writer's room or something. It just feels like such a disconnect on certain things, and I see where this movie could have been okay, but it went a little bit too more here, or went a little bit too more there, and then just all came together and honestly doesn't really make a lot of sense. Like I've never had to Google answers so much to like figure out what the heck is going on in a movie. Like even the mom thing, but like definitely they did not tell us who this lady is. Like she seemed a little bit younger.
It
Like
seems
but
like this happens a lot with like book adaptations
yeah,
because I think Dino mentioned it when he first started. Like books have so much information in them that it's hard to translate that on screen sometimes when like you spend 5 pages describing why this guy chews tobacco or whatever, and then you have to just show like a glimpse of it in the movie, and then you have to spend more time on other things because it's visual. And yeah, it's just
yeah. Yeah, it was tough. Yeah, I'll never forgive Bridget Terabithia turning into a Disney movie, but it's cool. We'll talk about that another day.
not Terabithia.
I loved that book. And then Disney bought it and messed it up. But anyways, yeah. So all of that is diving into our final thoughts. Let's go.
Right.
Let's save the long win for last this time and kind of go in reverse. Let's start off with Jason.
All right, let's do it. Final thought on this movie. Would I watch it again? Nah, I wouldn't watch it again.
I
Um,
would.
would I watch another Casey Affleck movie again? I think I would. Like Casey Affleck does have a couple movies that I like that he's in, and I do think he's a good actor. Honestly, I mean, it does seem like he doesn't do a whole lot, but I mean, that's kind of. I find it fascinating that he doesn't do a whole lot, but he's still pretty interesting most of the time. I mean, that's just good act. That's good film acting. Probably just good acting, period. But he's a good film actor. You know, I hate to say it because of like his history, but he is
If
what he is.
love don't fit. I'm just kidding.
Right,
I'm just
right,
kidding.
real talk. But I mean, like, but seriously, like, I I can't I can't recommend this to anyone, man, to be honest with you. Maybe people who love the book just because they would want to see like, what they did with it. But yeah, I can't recommend it. Like I said, there's a lot about this movie that just kind of rubbed my spirit the wrong way. And maybe that's where I'm at. Maybe that's what I brought to it. I don't know. But it wasn't pleasant to watch, a movie like this. I don't want to see anybody beat up on women in movies that's not like an action flick where the chick can fight back. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to see that. Uh and then I also don't want to see like white guys, killing up everybody and disrupting the whole community and getting away with it. You know what I mean? Like I don't like any so all that stuff may be a little bit triggering. So no, I can't recommend this to anybody unless you love the book and you just have to see the film adaptation, I guess.
I love how nice you make everything sound, Jason. If I ever start a PR company, I'm gonna have you in HR, just killing it.
Just stamping forms all day, just putting them.
No, and also doing like creating the public relations like newsletter when we have
Oh,
some.
sure, right, yeah, yeah, the newsletter.
You're like, who would I recommend this to? Probably no one. I just couldn't do that. Like that's just a nice. Steve, what were your final thoughts?
This movie sucked. That's my final thought. No, I'm kidding. No, man, this movie's like I don't think my final thoughts differ from my first impressions. First time watching the film, never watched the trailer or nothing. It's a weird film to watch with no sound. It's even weirder to watch it with sound, to be honest. And yeah, it's just one of those films that is like every time I watch a film, I'm like, okay, I definitely would like to enjoy this. And then second, I want to take something out of the film. And like from this particular movie, I don't know, maybe it's just not my cup of tea. Maybe it's because this dude was just such a sociopath. And I mean, that was the point, I guess. But it was just like, I was like, man, at least give me some time of, because like almost like a third into the movie, I'm like, yo, is someone going to catch this guy? And then he got caught, but he's always like, "Oh, this is not the end. Like, he's gonna escape somehow, and he's gonna become the Joker or something. I don't know." But then when we got that ending, I was just like, "Really? Like, this is what it was?" So that's what I think left me more unsatisfied. That I was like, "Okay, I strapped along for this, so I want a decent ending or something that's gonna leave me like, okay, that was worth it." But then we have what we had. And I was just like, "This was what? This is what it is? Like for real?" So yeah, I wouldn't recommend it to nobody, to be honest with you. Just someone that I truly hate, probably,
Sure.
uh, to just waste their time, and and yeah, didn't like the movie. Would never watch again.
Alrighty, let's dive into Dino's final thoughts.
Man, a lot of times when I come this kind of over the top, I'm like maybe hearing everyone talk. sometimes, allows me to appreciate more nuanced moments of the film. But it's this this is one of the times where it's like, no, I still feel, and and everyone else is kind of on the same page. I'm like, yeah, I don't recommend this movie. I would actually, and when I watched Manchester by the Sea, I thought that to me just felt so Oscar Oscar clickbait, right? Oscar clickbaity movie. But I would recommend that before recommending this. And yeah, I don't want to watch this again. Like, I'm reading the book versus film kind of thing also a little bit. Uh, and apparently this is a remake of, or like they had already made a movie of this before in the 70s. So this is a
Oh wow.
really old book that's been done once before, and apparently this version is like so much better than the one from the 70s. And now I'm
Wow.
like, I want to see the movie from the 70s doing something about the 50s instead of whatever this was. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's even with the whole, and I agree with Jason Casey Affleck. He's pretty good actor. Also, the voice thing is just a more of a maybe me thing of being very soft and a little high pitched. But so I will probably end up watching stuff with him. Usually not on a first choice basis. Like, it's more so like if I'm with friends or other people that want to watch it, or if Marina keeps picking his movies for some reason or other. I don't know. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend this. And it looked so good. This movie looks so good, and the music, and even like the piano thing where he's doing the black music, Chinese, Oriental music. I was like, I get it. That's right out of this book. I get what they're doing. They're trying to be faithful to this book. Like, yeah, everything should be out there with kind of like a No Country for Old Men. Like, it wanted to be that. I feel like it wanted to be a little bit like what's the one in LA? LA Confidential. Like,
Yeah.
it had all the makings to be a movie in that kind of realm of kind of noir and police kind of, and like dirty, and it just came out. It had one too many missteps. I don't know. I don't know where it went wrong, because it seems like it was following some of the book stuff, but the stuff they decided to omit, and the stuff that they decided to change, just completely, I feel like, derails the whole purpose of the characters and the story. That's it. Who would I recommend it to? I'd recommend it to Marina. Watch it again, Marina, and I hope you learn your lesson for next time.
Marina's just gonna pick more Casey Affleck movies now. She's inspired.
I don't think I've ever seen anything else he's been in, unless he's been in like something with his
O-
brother. I don't know.
Ocean's
He-
11.
He's just kind of okay. Oh, he's that.
Ocean's 12. Ocean's 12.
Oh, was
Was,
it 12?
was he also in
No,
13?
he's also. I'm just saying he's in Ocean's 11, Ocean's
I didn't even
12,
realize that's that guy. He's the one that like
Ocean's
pairs up
13.
with the other. He's like they're like Deedle Dee and Deedle Dum. Those two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
and they're both siblings of the one is James Caan's. No, I think that's his son, and then he's Ben Affleck's brother. So there you go.
gotcha. Well, so my final thoughts. Yeah, we got to be quiet for a couple weeks when you guys pick weird movies, because like it can happen. It can happen to the best of us, which is
That's right. That's what Cinema Club's about.
which is what I learned. Cause like I'm so shocked. I should have like stuck to my gut feeling, but I was searching, trying to like, ooh, let me find this. What a nifty thing to research and find. Like, wow, how come no one ever seen this movie? We got Affleck brother. We got freaking Honey and Kate Hudson.
Funny.
Whoa, let's go. Oh, this is gonna be a gem.
Well,
Yeah.
they can't all be hits on Cinema Club.
They can't all be mean girls. I'm just kidding.
Right.
So yeah, I'm really on the same page. Referral wise, I'm honestly gonna pretend this didn't exist. When people mention that I suggested this, I'll just tap into my Gemini Donald Trump and just deny it and gaslight everyone into saying that I actually did not do this. But yeah, it's yeah, it was tough to digest. Like I too try to make sure I find something out of this because I love this industry. I love people creating movies. But this was really, really hard. Like I think it would have been easier to swallow if it wasn't like people that are actually doing really well in the industry. I know I mentioned that a few times, but I was just like, Kate, did you read the script? Like, like why were you in this? And I'll never let that go. Like it was just like I would have understood like an up and coming artist playing something like this, just trying to be a part of something. But like, man, it was just very interesting. Yeah, I just wish I would have listened to myself when I thought that the title was Lifetime movie, and I just would have went on in the chat. But it is what it is. I'm glad we had this moment together, and we got to put this deep down and hide it with Jumanji, and hopefully no one finds it because it could be earth shattering if they open it up. But anyways, yeah, that's
Did
all.
you say you should have went with a Lifetime movie? Is that what you said?
No, I should have went with the fact that like I didn't look at the case at first. I just looked at the title. So I
Oh,
almost just scrolled away because I thought it was a Lifetime movie. The Killer Inside Me. That
I
sounds like
see.
something that would come on Lifetime. So I was like, oh, Then I was like, wait. I was like, is that Jessica Alba? I'm like, is there something I haven't seen with her in it? And yeah, and it all went downhill from there because I looked to see who else was in it. I was very bamboozled by the cast. But yeah, I'm the victim.
Right.
And that's all. That's all, folks. But yeah, thanks for watching it, guys.
All right. Thank you so much, Marina. That just leaves me with one last question for this week, and that's Steve. What do you got for us next week?
Next week, I am so glad you asked me because we are definitely not picking a Marina movie anytime soon. We are going with Jason,
Me?
yourself. Yeah,
All
you.
right. Well, okay. I got a movie for you guys then. I thought about this a little bit, and I strayed away from the 1001 movies before you die list, and I chose a movie that won the Palme d'Or one year, Shoplifters.
Ooh, I think this has been on my list. This was just a few years back, right?
That's right.
Okay, yeah.
That's right. So this is I don't know much about it. Looks like a family movie about named Shoplifters.
It's about a family movie in LA during the pandemic.
The first year I moved out of my parents' house and couldn't afford anything.
That's
Shoplifting.
right. Shoplifters.
Just looting. Now, for Marina, watch, laugh, and cry, Jason _ Echoes, El Don Dino, Miss TV, Des TV. We'll catch you next week, and I promise Dino will be happier. Bye bye.